I'm ready when you are up there in the booth. Yay. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. I hope you had a wonderful morning. I heard a lot of you had a great time in all of your sessions, and I can't wait for the next two speakers to get introduced. But right before I do that, I do want to share with you a couple of other little factoids. One of them, if you will look in your folders, in all of your folders, teachers and students alike, just the teachers, you should have a email address and password. Okay, you should have an email address and password. This is for the teachers, email address and password. That email address, for those of you who were here last year, corresponds to the Google Drive. So for all of you who don't know this, by attending the summit, you receive a Google Drive account through the Wild Center. And we decided to start doing this as a organizational method. So we will place in that Google Drive, and those of you who have had it from last year, there are new documents in it this year. One of those documents is the Climate Action Plan that you will be going through tomorrow. Now, there are some changes to the Climate Action Plan. Okay, it's really just, there are a couple more charts and some more specific questions through some of the students who have participated in years past and teachers. They said that there were a couple of areas of the Climate Action Plan that were confusing. So we really think that we've nailed it this year and that it's going to be even that much better. But the mini grant applications, which we'll talk about more tomorrow, are also in there. But one item that I want you to take away, and for homework, I guess, tonight, each school should log into that Google Drive account. So take your teacher's folders and make sure that that Google Drive account works. Not right now, but at another time. And the very last piece that I want to quickly talk about before I hand it over to my summiteers, and I would like to bring down Aaron and Kelly, if I could, for this, if they're both in here right now, maybe. Yay, they're both here. So I mentioned that this is my final summit as summit coordinator, and I'm stepping down as Youth Climate Program Coordinator, and lucky you people, you are getting two new wonderful humans with which to talk about all of your climate action needs. So this is Kelly Carter, and Kelly, if you look in your sheet, and this is in all of your guides for that contact information, Kelly will be dealing with and helping you out with all of your climate action plans, with the mini grant program, the news flash, a lot of the regional kind of student-driven portions of the program. Erin over here, Erin is going to be helping out with the community resiliency. So she's really going to be helping with getting summits going in other places. And I don't know if we're talking, well, yeah, our NOAA grant and other big, gigantic things. That'll be Erin. So please introduce yourself to both of these two wonderful ladies throughout the course of today and tomorrow. And thank you. You may sit down now. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Erica and Jenna to introduce our next two speakers.
Hi, I'm Jenna, and this is Erica. We are here to introduce the next speakers, and I would like for all of you to meet Meadow Hackett. She is a former summiteer, and she's from Saranac Lake. Who here is from Saranac Lake? Yeah, make some noise. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm from Saranac Lake. Yeah, school pride. She went to Villanova School of Business, and now she works for Deloitte, which is one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. And that's why it's so cool that she's working with sustainability. She was named Who's Who among the United States Universal Graduates in 2015. She worked as a One Young World ambassador, being at a session at the UNESCO World Youth Forum in Paris. And somehow, while saving the world, she finds time to do all the things she loves, including hiking, trap shooting, and fly fishing. Welcome, Meadow.
So along with Meadow, we're also going to be hearing from Gina Fiorile, and she, just like you, planned and attended Adirondack Youth Climate Summits during her days in high school, but now she annually hosts the Vermont Youth Climate Summit at the University of Vermont. She was a youth delegate at the UN's 21st Conference of Parties, and she was even selected to attend the signing of the historic Paris Agreement at the UN headquarters. And during the Obama administration, she was honored at the White House as a champion of change for climate education and literacy. And she even worked right here at the Wild Center, but now works for the Climate Literacy and Energy Awareness Network. Please welcome Gina and Meadow.
Here, Gina's going to take that side, so we're going to tag team you guys today.
That's right.
Oh, how's everyone doing?
Good?
Did you enjoy lunch?
Good? You're not asleep yet, right?
He
We're going to have you standing and sitting and playing games and clapping, so get ready. So, thank you guys for having us here. I don't want to age myself, but the last summit I was at was 7 years ago, so it's a little bit surreal to be here today. So Gina's going to start us off.
Yeah, so pretty much the goal of our presentation is to teach you how to interact with other people in addition to learning a little bit more about yourself. And we really just want you to learn that communicating climate change can be very hard sometimes, and actually the root of a lot of our problems with climate change comes from not really knowing how to communicate about it. So if we can overcome that obstacle, we'll be closer to overcoming climate change. And it's really just about listening to other people, knowing how they think, getting on the same level with them, and then finding common values, working towards those, and overcoming any boundaries. So that's what we're going to be talking to you about today through some of the great work that Meadow does at Deloitte. And yeah, so we're going to start out with a fun little activity. So what I want you guys to do is take out your phones.
We're all on them,
We're
right?
all on them. And I'm going to have you answer the question up here. It says, what are some challenges you face when communicating with others about climate change? So you're going to text your answer to this question, the 22333 number. You're going to text your question to that number. But right before your question, you're going to type in the number 575641. So text your answer to 22333. And right before you answer the question, just type in 575641. It's a lot of numbers, but. Yeah, type in 22333.
All in one message.
All in one message. Yeah. Nope.
You can throw a space in. You don't need a space.
Yeah, cool.
Resistance to and fear of change. I don't even know where to start. All right. Not getting political. These are good answers, you guys. Keep them coming. So, a lot of these challenges that we see every day, we face them from our peers, maybe from our teachers, maybe from our families even. So how are we going to overcome them? It's all a matter of perspective, right? So it's about having the empathy to put yourself into their shoes. True. But there's a way to show meaningful graphs and charts, but also appeal to people's emotions. So hopefully we'll be able to get to some of those today. We're getting more. Explaining the importance of climate change. I'm only one person. I can't make a change. I will get to that in our very last slide. I promise we'll touch on that. All right.
Yeah. There's a lot of things coming up that might be out of our control, but there's also a lot of things that are coming up that definitely are in our control, and it's just learning how to interact with some of the people that we might be disagreeing with. It's really just a matter of like listening and understanding each other.
Using it to our advantage.
Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, thank you guys for your responses. We're going to keep all of those in mind as we move forward, and we're going to take questions at the end. So we can, if we don't hit on some of the things that you guys are facing or give you a tool to somehow address that, feel free to talk to Gina and I after the session. So today, we're going to be talking about business chemistry. Has anybody here ever heard of Deloitte? Anybody? Couple hands, more than I expected. All right, so to give some background, I work at the largest professional services firm in the world. We operate in 150 countries, and we have over 250,000 employees. For some perspective, the Adirondack Park only has about 130,000 people living in it, so we're about double the size of every person in the, if you took every person in the Adirondack Park and made them work for one company. So why do I mention this? Because with all these people in all these different countries and all this variation in thoughts and experience, we have a challenge because maybe people from different backgrounds don't get along, but we also have a double challenge because we work with clients, so we don't have a product. At the end of the day, you're not going to get a new iPhone if you talk to someone from Deloitte. The only reason someone will hire us is if they have a problem and they need the problem to be solved. But we can't be effective at all if we can't communicate with them and help work toward a solution. So you guys are going to face that going back, right? You're going to be presenting to your school boards, you're going to be working with your teams, maybe you'll even be working in small group settings. The plan is that when you guys go back, all you'll have is your knowledge of climate change. You won't have a product, and hopefully you'll have a solution of how you're going to go forward and how you plan to solve the problem. So today we're going to go through this business chemistry. There are 4 types, and they're each defined by a specific set of traits. It's focused on external factors, so the way in which you interact with other people. How many people here have ever taken a personality test? How many people remember anything about what the results were? How many people here have been able to apply this to their interactions and the way that they work with other people? So only a few hands still raised. So hopefully when you walk out today, you'll be able to take what your personality, your business chemistry type is, and apply it to group settings and situations where you may be presenting and interacting with other people. So our focus today is to first understand yourself, then understand others, and adapt your style. I'm going to take it away.
All right, so we are going to do a little activity first. All right, so we're going to get some movement happening. What's going to happen is I'm going to ask you a question, and depending on your answer, you're going to stand or you're going to say sitting down, okay? And this is just to learn a little bit more about yourself.
So you don't fall asleep.
Yeah. Okay, so the first question is, stand if you like lots of conversation and debating a topic, but stay seated if you can't stand endless discussion.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
All right, so I would say probably we have more people standing up, I would say.
More than half the room?
More, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so next question. Stay standing if you don't like to revisit a decision, but sit down if you like to keep things open. Yeah. Okay, cool. So most of you like to keep the discussion going even after you've made a decision. So that's interesting. So the next one is stand if you trust numbers, or sit if you believe you can make the numbers say what you want. You can kind of fiddle with them a little bit.
Oh, we don't have any.
All right.
Wow. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. All right.
So we like numbers. That's cool. Great. Okay, so next one. Sit if you prefer a summary, or stay standing if you prefer to see all of the details. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge young person thing. You like to see a summary. Okay. Sit if you like to shake things up in a group setting, or stand if you like to keep the peace in a group setting. So sit if you like to shake things up, stand if you like to keep the peace. Okay, we have 2 more questions. We're getting there, okay? So stand if you believe it's nothing personal, it's just business. Or sit if you believe relationships are everything. All right. So we really care about relationships. Last question. Stand if you think you usually trust your gut instinct, or sit if you usually trust the data. Stand if you think you usually trust your gut instinct. Sit if you trust the data. All right. This one's pretty mixed. All right, now everybody can sit down now. Thank you for your willingness to sit and stand. How many of you have ever thought about those questions before? Have you ever reflected on that? Yeah, not really. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of a big part. It's a big reflection on how you think and how you operate. So just something to think about. And sometimes we start to think that people are all the same, but we're not. People are more like snowflakes, very individual. We're alike in some ways, but each of us have different preferences that are unique to us, and this comes out especially when we're communicating with other people. So we did this quick activity just to show you that everybody has different preferences. So whether you're working in a team setting or giving a presentation, we have to learn how to best meet the needs of everyone around us. So now we're going to take the time to get to know ourselves even better. We're going to look at the 4 types of business chemistry that we just introduced. And each business chemistry type also has associated likes and dislikes. So let's get started on that.
The first type we're going to talk about today, I might be a little bit biased because I am a pioneer. Hopefully by the end you can identify which one fits most to you. I am a primary pioneer. If we had to sum up pioneers into one word, it would be possibilities. They seek it, they thrive off it, and they feel stifled without it. So our research shows that pioneers are most defined by the traits that are shown here. They're imaginative thinkers who are naturally adaptable, spontaneous, and outgoing. They embrace risk and believe that with great risk comes great reward. Pioneers are unconcerned with the details, and they like to look at the big picture. We also know how to speak and make decisions quickly. They are energetic, exploratory, and they don't like to see things as black and white. They dislike structure, anything that limits their creativity. So as we go through these types, try and see if there's any of these words that pop out to you. And you may find that there are some types that you really think say, oh, that's me. That's me 100%. And there are some shared traits between types. So as we go through, we'll see what more we can find. Like Gina mentioned, and like the activity we just did, everybody has their, what we call likes and gripes or loves and bugs. Things that each personality type can be known for, but both the likes and the gripes are important to be aware of, especially when you're interacting with someone else of a different business chemistry type.
All right, so on to our second business chemistry type. We have guardians. Now, if you remember only one thing about guardians is that they seek out stability. And they don't just search for it, but they're also good at exemplifying it, particularly in times of crisis. So the traits that most define guardians are that they are reserved and practical in nature, and they really value loyalty. They appreciate and need the details and bring a structured and methodical approach to their work. Guardians are also disciplined, careful, and meticulous. They dislike brainstorming and excessive theorizing. Additionally, they are usually the most introverted type. They view silence as a productive and important part of any conversation, and it gives them time to think before they speak and plan their words carefully. So, again, Guardians also have their likes and gripes. So they can be cool, calm, and collected, but they can also sometimes seem to be a little closed off. They can be willing to take on the tedious work, but can be tedious to work with. So that's some of the pros and cons of Guardians.
Our next type, so we're on to the third, is a driver. So drivers seek challenge. Who out here is competitive? Very competitive. Your most competitive friend. Oh, wow, you guys are very. All right. So drivers, though, are also technical, quantitative, and logical in their approaches. They're savvy with technology as well as numbers, and they're talented at developing original ideas and thoughts, but they're more intent on achievement than relationships. There are two subtypes of drivers that you guys can see up here. So the scientist and the commander. The inward focus, the more inward focused driver or introverted would be the scientist. They like to experiment, they're deeply curious, and are skilled at identifying patterns. And commanders are more extroverted. They are competitive, focused on the goal, and direct. They're also linear thinkers and don't shy away from confrontation. So there are some perceptions of drivers. They're straight shooters, but they can be abrasive. And they're focused, but they may have tunnel vision, which is different from our pioneers that we just went through before, because they're kind of all over the place. So as we move on to the next one, our last type, it's integrator.
Yeah, so whether it's with a person or an idea, connection helps integrators feel like they're a part of the story and that there is a deeper meaning or purpose behind their work. So the most defining traits of integrators are that they are diplomatic, empathetic, and value consensus. They're concerned about how people feel and can feel their emotions. Integrators are also known to be helpful, but are not necessarily technical or numbers-oriented. Similar to drivers, there are also two subtypes of integrators, and they're listed here. There are the teamers, who value tradition and are relationship-oriented and socially responsible. They are networked, collaborative, and expressive. Also, they have dreamers, who are inward-focused, are intrinsically motivated. They really dislike confrontation and are adept at seeing nuance. They are also reserved, introspective, and like to daydream. So, again, they some of their good things and bad things is that they are really, really good at bringing people together, but also try to please everyone. They are really attuned to their own emotions, but can be overly emotional as well. So, that being said, another aspect of all of this is extroversion and introversion, which I'm sure are two words you all have heard of.
So basically, all we wanted to say is that you may identify with a certain type, and then you may consider it to be more extroversion versus introversion, but really this is all related to how you interact with other people. So keep that in mind. If you see something says, oh, it's more introverted, that's not me. So Gina and I have a little activity for you. We are going to improvise a little bit. So we have a fun activity, if it would show up. Get it to work. All right. It's called First Word, Last Word. Basically, we're going to go through this in 2 rounds. It's going to get a little bit noisy in here, but we're going to take 1 minute for the first round and 1 minute for the second round. So once you guys are done, take a look back at us. So we're going to start it off. All you have to do is you begin a sentence, and the last word of the sentence becomes the first word of your next sentence. And I promise this has a purpose. So our first round is going to be just any topic you could think of. I could say, Gina, I like cats.
Cats are great.
Great things come with time.
Time is not always a friend.
All right? Yeah, I'm not going to keep it going. But you guys get the gist. So pair up with person next to you, take 1 minute, and then listen for us to pull you guys back. Okay.
All right.
You can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap twice. You can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap twice. All right. So some good conversations going on there. Good, bad, thumbs up, thumbs down. You guys do it? It was pretty easy, right? So maybe it wasn't easy. That's good. So we're going to step it up a notch because we can get stuck in a lot of jargon when we're talking about climate change and sustainability. It's very hard to be succinct, get your point across, and without pulling out all of the details and all of the data. So we're going to take a moment to try and have a conversation about climate or about sustainability. So Gina and I will once again be an example. I'll take it from here. I love learning about climate change and sustainability.
Sustainability is a key focus of many organizations.
Organizations should be doing more to act on climate.
Yes, they should.
All right. You guys got it. Here we go. 1 more minute. Let's go. A little bit quieter.
What? All right, everyone. Finish up your conversations.
All right. If you can hear me, clap once.
Hey.
You can hear me, clap 3 times. All right. Thanks, guys. It was a little bit quieter that time, so I don't know if everybody wasn't as excited or having a more difficult time. But the idea is, how many people listened to everything their partner was saying? How many people just listened for the last word? Yeah?
I often do that, yes.
So it's funny because it's very rare that we listen to a sentence the entire way through. We're always trying to jump to the next thing that they're going to say. But in that case, you had to really hone in and listen. So when you guys are making your presentations, I challenge you to find something that makes someone want to listen to you the entire way through your sentence or the entire way through your presentation. So on to the next. We're going to look at our part 2, which is understanding others. So let's get a little feel of the room. Clap if you think you might be a pioneer. All right, keep clapping, like clap. All right, snap if you think you might be a guardian. And stomp your feet if you think that you're an integrator. And my drivers out there go, woo, 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 woo. All right, so we got a mix, right? So what are we gonna do with that now that we all know we're different types? We're just not gonna get along, we're not gonna talk to other people anymore?
No, we're not going to do that.
Thanks, Gina. So we're all these different types, but we might have shared traits with another business chemistry type. So these are some of the things that often align. For example, I am a pioneer. I am my business chemistry type. I would say that I'm a pioneer, but I'm pretty equally divided between an integrator and a driver. So you might find that some of your characteristics aren't always their primary characteristic. So we're going to try and come up with ways to develop a hunch or an idea of what someone's primary business chemistry might be, so that way you can work with them better. So we're going to go through what we call a speed round.
Woo.
And
Yeah.
Gina's going to give you guys some historical figures, and we're going to try and make a guess as to what their business chemistry type might be.
All right, yeah. Let's go. Anybody recognize this guy? Good old Abe. Okay, so a few fun facts about Abraham Lincoln. As the 16th president of the United States, he was known as a man who worked tirelessly to preserve his beloved country. He's remembered as being attentive, empathetic, and diplomatic. As president, Lincoln was inclusive. He was an inclusive leader who valued the strengths and perspectives of others, even his rivals, whom he chose to be part of his cabinet. As the listener-in-chief, he held White House office hours during which anyone could stop by and chat with him. So, all right. I'm going to ask you if you think he's a pioneer, driver, guardian, or integrator, okay? And when you hear me say the one that you think he is, you're just going to clap, okay? So whoever or whatever type gets the loudest claps, we're going to say he's probably that, or what you guys think he's probably that. So clap if you think he's a pioneer. Okay. Clap if you think he's a driver. Also, do you guys have these little things with you that might be helpful?
It's okay.
No.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll
I
help
believe
you out.
you. If you do have one, it's okay if you don't. This might be helpful to look along with right now. So a few claps for pioneer, a few claps for driver. How many of you think he's a guardian? That was a little bit louder. And what about an integrator?
Woo! You got it right, you guys. A+.
A+ is right. He is, in fact, an integrator, so great job. All right, then there's this cool guy. His name's Ernest Shackleton. In 1914, he solicited funds and crewmates to join him on a 1,000-mile journey across the Antarctic. He itched for discovery. He chased new ideas, new challenges, and risky business opportunities that other investors might have scoffed at. So, I'm going to ask you again. Do you think that he is a driver? You think he's a guardian? No, nobody thinks he's a guardian. What about an integrator? No. A pioneer. Yeah. Wow, you guys are so smart. That is incredible. All right, catching on fast. Next we have this lovely lady, Queen Victoria. And her deal is that she took the throne at only 18 years of age. And she set out to do her job right. She understood her obligations and wanted to fulfill every detail of them meticulously, dutifully, and to a T. It was important to her that she knew every detail of what was going on in her empire. She paid close attention, deliberately assessing each issue and weighing in when she deemed her royal opinion to be warranted. The issue might have been big or small, but she kept a pulse on everything and often expressed a strong and well-reasoned opinion. All right, so we're going to do it again. Clap if you think she's a driver. I admire your bravery, yes. Clap if you think she's a pioneer. An integrator. It's a very fair thing.
Shared traits.
All right, and what? Clap if you think she's a guardian. Okay, yeah, you guys are right again. So you've gotten it right so far. This is our last This is our last guy, okay? So let's see if you can get 100 on this. So Theodore Roosevelt. He would always take charge, and he was a never-say-die leader. He was determined to pursue his goals regardless of the obstacles in his path, and he achieved great things as a result. He had a no-nonsense nature and became a trademark of his presidency. He used the famous expression, "speak softly and carry a big stick," to illustrate his approach to foreign policy. He wanted to show the world that he wasn't afraid to use his power if tested. Okay, so one last round. Clap if you think he's a pioneer. How many of you think he's a guardian? An integrator? A driver?
Nice.
Thank you.
100%, guys. So these are all amazing people, right? Right? They did great things in history. We all know their names. So we need everybody at the table in order to be productive and effective in our communication. Otherwise, we won't solve the problems that we need to solve. So we need to be able to adapt our style. We need to figure out ways to engage other people who may not have the same preferences that we have. So a pioneer, just as we started, we're going to go back through the 4 types and talk about the best ways to engage other people. So an overall recommendation when engaging with pioneers. Their catchphrase, if they had one, would be YOLO. So go big, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. But be careful to not let their big ideas distract you from what the other details might need to be. So when you're bringing your passion, show the excitement in your idea by bringing conviction and interest. Sell it. Make it a pitch. And silence your skeptic. Temporarily suspend your disbelief and your doubts by just going with it for once. Or maybe you already are very go-with-the-flow kind of person. So our next type is guardian, as we've gone through. Guardians, an overall recommendation would be prepared, but be careful to not let their affinity for details get you stuck in the weeds. So show your respect for the process when you're working with a guardian. Be punctual, stay on task, run your meeting using a clear process and structure, and make things linear and concrete. So rather than speaking on a theoretical level, appeal to the idea of practicality. Why does it make sense? A driver, overall when you're engaging drivers, be smart, be quick, and be gone. So don't let their challenging nature intimidate you. Get to the point and let them make a decision. If they challenge you, it doesn't always mean that they don't believe in your idea. It's that they want to know that you're knowledgeable about it. And lastly, as we've been going through, integrator. Overall, integrators believe everything involves a little bit of give and take. They expect it of themselves, and they expect it of you. So as a word of caution, don't leave a meeting or a presentation without knowing where integrators stand, because they may not be forthright with their concerns. Make it a point to ask for and really hear out their thoughts, because they do have valuable opinions. So before we take any questions, I want to sort of wrap up what we've been through so far, because we just packed a lot into the last, 30 minutes. I want to share with you my favorite quote. I said I would address this in the last slide, so to whoever put that up in our first slide, this is what I was referring to. You cannot do everything. There's a sense of liberation in that. This allows you to do something and to do it very well. I'll say it one more time. You cannot do everything, and there's a sense of liberation in that. This allows you to do something and to do it very well. So we may not all be guardians, we may not all be pioneers or integrators, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to be the idea guy. The types evolve together. And while differences between them can cause conflict, it's better when they can cause conflict when they're misunderstood. But it's even better when the strengths are joined together. I want you guys to close your eyes. Come on. Picture you guys are planning your next team event. Good to have some pioneers there to say, hey guys, let's do it. Let's go skydiving. Why not, right? It'll be fun. But then it's also good to have some guardians at the table to say, do we need to take a training for this? Does everyone know if their parachute is packed properly? And then when you're 13,000 feet above the ground, you guys can open your eyes. When you're 13,000 feet above the ground looking down, you want a driver to say, all right, everybody, get in line. We're going to jump. Follow the directions of our guide. Let's send him out first and see what happens. But you also need some integrators at the end of the day to say, if we're going to do this, why don't we try and hold hands when we get into the sky? So once you start thinking about things in terms of business chemistry, you'll notice all these patterns around you. The power of the system that we just talked through is not in only you recognizing the differences between individuals, but also recognizing and appreciating those differences. So that's what will make for more of a great ride than a rocky one. So try it out and see what happens.
Awesome. I hope you guys learned a lot from that and find it useful as something that you can apply to your club or even things outside of environmental club when you go back to your schools. But we do have a few minutes for questions, and I want to address anything that anybody has going on in their heads right now. So if you have a question, yeah, why don't we start over there?
Go ahead.
Asking this because I know other don't have any truth to them. So is this like just something to go based off of, or is it like proven?
Yeah. Actually, I have the statistics. I'm just not a statistics person because I'm a pioneer.
I'm a guardian.
So let me pull it up. So Deloitte, my company, well, not my company, they put together a team. I don't have it in here. But they put together a team of cross-functional sociologists, scientists, and we've been actually giving this original pilot out to people in the business world. So our 250,000 employees, as well as our all of our clients, have taken some iteration of this test. So probably over, I would easily say over 1 million people helped in us developing what these 4 traits are, these 4 types are. The idea behind it, though, is that it's not saying you are a pioneer or you are a guardian, but it's the ability to see specific traits that someone can identify with when you're interacting with them. So it's more focused on the external than saying, at the end of the day, you are one of these. It's more being able to recognize specific traits that one of these types might fall under, one of these people might fall under, and then using them to the best of your advantage, using them to an advantage. Yeah.
Thank you, Meadow. Oh yeah, we have a question back there.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
Keep your hand raised so our microphone people can get to you.
Yep. There you go. Awesome.
So your examples included a couple of presidents. I'm wondering if you might take a stab at identifying the type of our current president.
Well, I will counter that. I won't say specifically, but most CEOs, and he was a CEO, pioneer is the least common type we've found in the business world, but most CEOs are pioneers. So he does have a lot of ideas, whether we may or may not agree with them. That's my guess.
We could take one more question, if anybody has anything. Remember, both of these wonderful humans have helped plan the summits as well as attend, and have used their own personality types to be super successful in their environmental clubs and now in college and in the actual world. So they can pertain to anything. Anything else? Ooh, we got one more.
One more
right here.
question. Yay.
Last one. Pass it down to
Pass-
the lovely lady with a hat.
All right.
So since it can pertain to anything, in general, how do you start a conversation with somebody you don't know?
So, good.
I would just say somebody that you don't know, you know, I would
Create a hunch.
create a hunch, yeah. I think with somebody that you don't know, you don't want to go in and be like aggressive immediately. I think listening and asking like probing questions that aren't, you know, just to learn more about them is always important. Ask questions, but not anything that's like offensive. Just try to get an understanding of what their interests are and what they believe. And once you can get a feeling of what's important to them, you can really run with that. You don't need anything
Yeah, I
else.
think like a lot of the time, even when you guys go back, you're going to be giving presentations, maybe, potentially, hopefully, and sharing everything that you learned. So what I like to think about is in every presentation that I may do, I try to include some piece of it that would appeal to one type. So maybe I don't have 100 slides of climate data, but I still keep them in there. And then as you go forward, you'll be able to tailor it more if you do get to know the person or the audience that you're presenting to.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you again, Meadow and Gina. Can we have another round of applause?
Thank you.
We are headed into our next series of workshops starting at 1:50, so you have approximately like 5 minutes. However,